Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mel. I grew up playing outside.
And I grew up doing something meaningful, watching movies and TV.
I never had cable, and we finally bought a VCR about the same time DVD players hit the market.
Throughout our marriage, Mel has sadly missed many of my pop culture references and movie quotes.
So it's time to catch up on all the films I missed.
Good evening.
Hey!
Hey!
Movie time!
It is movie time. Do you know what movie we are going to watch?
No, what are we watching? Tell me.
Wow, you are eager tonight. Okay. Wow. It's a movie you've seen before. Spoilers.
Oh.
That's
shocking turn of events.
I know.
Whoa.
It's very intentional because you and I recently celebrated 20 years of marriage.
Yes, clinky clinky.
So, clinky clinky. So I thought it would be apropos, hand gestures and all that, to watch something from the same month that we were married.
Whoa. Which was March.
Which was March.
Wow. Yeah, it's been 20 years. We just celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I don't know what was released.
This is a movie you've seen before, obviously. I just said that. It's a movie that you think of often in certain driving situations.
Is this a zombie movie?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to say what I think the title is, but I always think I'm going to get it wrong.
Okay.
Day of the Dead. Dang it. It's not.
It's not Day of the Dead, no.
It's
not Dia de los Muertos either.
Okay, shoot. Oh no, it's one of those. Oh no. I'm not gonna get. I'm at a loss here. Is it the original?
No.
Dawn of the Dead.
The original was made in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's not the original because that's not the one we think about with the driving.
Well, the driving. Yes, correct.
Is the remake.
The remake is the one you think of. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it has the girl from Go.
Yes.
In it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
What else do you remember? When's the last time you saw this one?
Like maybe when we got married or a little after. I don't know.
It had to have been after, just because I watch it often. I watch it every couple of years usually.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's all coming back. I'm gonna remember a lot of it.
All right. What?
I mean, this is like this fast zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be. It's like a edge of your seat one.
Yeah, it was one of the first fast zombie movies.
Yes.
I'll get into my feelings on all of that after we watch it. But what are some things you're excited to see in this movie?
I'm excited to see the opening sequence. It's good. It's memorable.
Yeah.
It's what we think about when we're driving.
Yeah.
That car crash that you see coming,
mm-hmm.
From a far distance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to. Oh, it's the story arc of one of the guys. He starts off like you don't like him, and then he ends up being pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think. I don't remember his name, but
yeah.
I'm excited to see that story arc again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you're dreading about watching this again?
Oh, everything with the baby.
Oh, I forgot about the baby.
I hate it when they mess with babies, especially in a zombie show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was so protective of Judith. Do you remember?
In The Walking Dead, yeah.
Yeah, I used to
I remember.
Yell at the screen, leave her alone, don't you dare.
Oh, that used to make me laugh a lot. And you would run out of the room sometimes. Is it done yet?
I couldn't. So since we've seen it, we can talk a little bit more about it. Sure. What are you excited to see?
There's so much I love about this movie. It defies all odds that I love it because one of my favorite movies of all time is the original.
Yeah.
So anyway, specifically this one, I love the use of music. There's lots of great music hooks in doing sequences in this.
Mm-hmm.
And Zack Snyder just did a really good job. The cinematography is good in this one. I'm just excited to see curmudgeon-y people having to survive at the end of the world. And this was always the scenario that I pictured in my mind because I grew up in the suburbs, being stranded in a shopping mall during Yeah.
Who hasn't imagined that? Like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, like, our children won't because
they're not things anymore.
They don't go to the mall. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. I'm still going to ask you, what's the movie poster for this one? Do you even know?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Nothing comes to mind. I don't know.
Give me a guess. You've got a lot of colors to work with on this.
I
haven't seen it.
I just remembered the dog too. It's all coming back.
Come on, Chips.
No.
Come on, Chips.
That girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like Empty Streets.
Empty Streets. Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it's a shot of the mall from like
yeah.
You know, from a distance.
All right.
Kind of like looming.
Looming. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And what's the tagline? What does it say when you're seeing that looming mall on there? I got a really great one.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
I assure you we're open. That's a Clerks reference for those who don't know that.
Oh, how about I assure you we're open for the end of the world?
Oh, snap.
It's like a mashing them up.
You just caused me to have a nerd convulsion there. That was amazing.
Well, let's go watch it.
Let's go check it out.
Hey, Vivian.
Anna, look, I can go backwards.
Let me see. Hey, that's amazing. Hey.
Hey, you. Vivian, honey, are you okay?
Officials have declared a state of emergency.
Everybody they kill gets up and kills.
Residents are advised to find a safe place and stay there.
I've just been informed that we are going off the air and switching to the emergency broadcasting system.
Look up the road. There's a lot more of them. Why are they coming here?
Maybe they're coming for us.
Sooner or later, they're gonna get in here. Our baby's here before. It's only a matter of time.
It's coming.
They'll find a way in.
Oh, God.
Ooh, Wow.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the end credits there. Come on, get down with the sickness. That's what yeah.
I know what that was. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
How do you feel?
I love that film so much.
It's so good.
It is so good.
Every moment is just so crafted.
It's like cheese or beer. Both of which you want during a zombie apocalypse, for the record, because they're harder to manufacture.
It's more like Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
Where you're on
the ride,
a journey.
Yes.
The ride, yes. Which if you haven't done it, go to Disney and ride it.
Yes.
Every moment is like taking you through the story, and it takes you by the hand. And in this movie, every step like opens up more, brings you to more, opens up more, and like reveals more. Yeah. And yeah, it's like someone guiding you through an experience. Yeah.
There's so much I love about this movie. It's going to be hard to keep me on track. Why don't you give us a quick summary of this one?
Okay. Well, Anna? Is that her name?
Anna. Yes.
Anna.
Yes.
She is a nurse. She comes home from work and everything's normal.
Yeah.
And then that night, or in the early morning, the door opens and it's her little neighbor girl. And she's a zombie. And she attacks.
Yeah.
And she gets Anna's boyfriend.
Husband.
Sorry.
Respect.
Oh
Come
my
on.
gosh. Don't mean to degrade that relationship. Her
he died for
beautiful
come
husband.
On. Yes, he was a very caring man.
So it's like instant fight or flight. And she does both. And she gets out and then it just follows her.
Yeah.
She hooks up with a police officer and
it's got to be a better way to
joins
say that.
up. She joins up with a police officer. Look, I know what I mean.
I was
all of you
say,
people, your mind in the gutter. You know what I meant to.
I'm just saying there's a better way to say it. Yeah.
So it's just I don't want to say it's your typical zombie movie, but the story is your typical story where they have to survive and they find a place to hole up. And in this case, it's a mall.
Yes.
And after holing up there for a while, they're like, well, maybe we could have it better if we went somewhere else.
Grass is always greener.
Oh, man, and it's always what gets them. And they lose so many people in the meantime. And okay, so that's like the general summary of what happens. But there's something key and different about this movie. This movie is a milestone, a mile marker in the history of zombie movies.
I hope I'm not about to embarrass you, but keep going.
Okay, well...
Are you about to say it's the first fast zombie movie?
Well, maybe I was going to say that. What do you want to say?
It is not the first fast zombie movie. I had to look this up because I was going to say the same thing.
Darn it.
Sorry.
Okay.
But
for me, it was.
That's not true either.
Oh, what?
Sorry.
What do you mean?
2 years earlier, 28 Days Later came out.
Oh.
So
that was 2 years earlier?
Yes, it was. That was 2002 and this is 2004.
Are you sure?
I literally am looking at the dates. So,
but did you think the same thing?
Well, first off, the nerd in me, excuse me while I push up my glasses a little higher so I can see clearly, which I don't have glasses, is like, excuse me, 28 Days Later is not a zombie film. It is a virus-based thing where people become into a kinetic zombie-like state. But it is not a zombie film. This is an actual zombie film where the people are straight up dead. They get up and they walk around until you shoot them in the head.
I can see now that I'm going to have to tread a little more carefully in my conversation with you.
You're going to have to be... I tried to warn you. But no, it gets even nerdier, and I didn't know this either. But in the 80s, there was like some indie film in Italian cinema that had a fast zombie. So technically was the first one.
Okay, but for all intents and purposes, for us, in our... history of viewing.
Yes.
When we saw this movie, there's the first zombie is the little girl.
Correct.
And the door opens and it creaks open onto her face and she's in shadows.
Yes.
And then she steps into the light and you see what's going on. And then she runs.
No. She just
she goes over.
She bites him.
Right. And then he flings her back.
Yes.
And then this is the best. This moment is so key.
It's a delicious moment.
She just like jumps up like an animal on all fours.
Just jumps like a spider crawl.
Yeah. And then runs after him.
Right at him. Yeah. Right at her. Yeah. So, yes. And in the time machine of my mind, I can't remember if I saw 28 Days Later after that. I think I saw this first chronologically. I may have missed the theatrical run of 28 Days Later.
I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember. But this is, if you would have asked me, I would have said this came out first. I mean, I would have been wrong.
I would have said that too.
Emotionally for me, in my experience in life, this feels like it came out first. Probably because I saw it in theaters. And then the other one I saw later once I got dug into things more.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, much love for 28 Days Later.
Oh, 28 Days Later.
That's another amazing.
That movie holds up so exceptionally well. Yeah. So does this one too.
Yes.
They both are just such great films. Why do you think survival movies are so freaking awesome? Because that's what a zombie movie is, really.
Yeah. Well, part of it is you're thinking, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
What would I do?
Yeah.
And inevitably someone on the screen does something that you're like, I never would have done that. That was so stupid. Why would you do that?
What's
and
going
you're
on?
like
Yeah.
invested because
Yeah.
you're surviving along with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also there's always the wonderful part, and every movie has it, and I love this one in Dawn of the Dead, where it's the good life. They're in the mall, they're safe, and they're just having fun.
Yeah.
And as a kid, haven't you always wondered, like, oh, if I could just spend the night in the museum, or if I could just spend the night in the mall, I would do all this stuff. Or if the world died, I would just live in the mall and I could have Starbucks every day. And that's what they do.
If I could have Disney in my backyard.
Yeah.
Disney World.
Exactly.
Disneyland, yeah.
So that's another part of it, is like the good life that they have for a little bit is so good. And it's something like I've always thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this movie, 100%. That's like the anchor in the movie, like the anchor of like hope and happiness that's just surrounded by all the chaos and death and craziness. In general, though, survival movies, like I think there is something about humans where, you know, we try to pass down generational knowledge, right? Like you try to teach your kids, don't touch a stove. It's hot. You will burn yourself. And then you learn, oh, that actually does happen. So then you start to correlate, oh, there's data I can learn so I don't have to worry about this situation because I know what to do. Because humans like to know what to do, right? And movies like this, I think we enjoy them so much because it's like a fun way. It's like a roller coaster. It's a fun way to feel like on the Imagineers, what did they say? What was it? Fear plus safety. Fear of death plus safety equals excitement or something like that.
Yeah,
with
something
the roller
like
coaster.
that. Yeah.
And that's similar to this. Like it feels like you're being taught something or shown something about something you may. It's very unlikely, although we just came out of a pandemic, but whatever. It's very unlikely that, you know, something like this would happen. But if it happened, I'm learning about it and it's kind of fun to watch.
So back to the movie.
Yeah.
Anna is a survivor.
She is.
And like the whole thing with her getting the keys from the bedside table. And then later that's another tie-in that they do.
She gets the keys from the boat at the end. Too.
Yeah. What are some ways? It's director Zack Snyder.
Yes.
Written by George Romero and James Gunn.
Whoa, it wasn't written by George Romero. It's based on the screenplay of George Romero's.
Oh, that's why. Because IMDb gives him a writing
1978,
credit.
Dawn of the Dead. He wrote the original Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
Which is an amazing film as well.
Didn't we see George Romero?
Yes.
At Comic-Con?
Several times.
Yeah. He had long hair.
Yes. He kind of, yes. And he has these really big, like, you would know it as the old Navy lady who had the big, thick black rim glasses.
Yeah.
I never knew her name in the commercials, but
I don't know.
He had rectangular ones, these big, like, rectangular 50s glasses.
Yeah. Okay.
He was interviewed on the panel we were at. He was interviewed by Max Brooks, who's the writer of the World War Z.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was such an amazing panel. Like having him interview him, it was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw him though. He didn't write this.
Max Brooks was geeking out like everyone else in the room too, that he was there. It was awesome.
But like for this film, he doesn't really like when people mess with the zombie. He didn't. R.I.P. He's passed away. But he didn't like it a lot of times when people would mess with this stuff, you know? But this one he actually watched and he was like, he had some problems with some of the elements, but he was like, that was pretty good.
Oh, that's high praise.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was written by, though,
James Gunn.
Which
is crazy.
Which is awesome.
That we did not remember that. And now we're like fans of James Gunn.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
The DC drama too, because Zack Snyder was the head of the DC machine, you know, making films at Warner Brothers, and then he kind of got ousted, and now James Gunn is the head.
I haven't seen any of Zack Snyder's other films.
I think you mean James, but that's very familiar of you to.
No, Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
His films.
I thought you said Jack Snyder.
I might have. It's possible that
Jack
that
Snyder
came out.
Jack Snyder Gunn.
Sorry, Mr. Snyder.
You've not seen any of his other films?
I don't
like
think
zero?
so. Zero.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but this one is so good.
Spoilers, it's his best one.
Okay, that's kind of what I was.
I'm trying to make you feel a little
at.
better. It's his absolute. I think it's his best film, in my opinion. But I was the right age at the right time, and it had the right music in it, which he picked, by the way. This was Zack. He
Snyder
picked like the music, and a lot of the producers were like, "No, I don't think the Johnny Cash thing. You should do that, or the Down with the Sickness, or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna do that."
Oh my gosh! So we should like. There's just so much to talk about. I don't know where to start, but after the opening sequence of you get introduced to the first zombie, and then you see that they run, and there's like. Anna gets in the car and she's driving out of the suburb, and like there's a zombie man like running after her car. That's another like it's just opening up to you.
Yes.
And you're seeing this world now. And then they go into this really cool time lapse thing with Johnny Cash, one of his newer songs.
When the Man Comes Around.
Yeah. Playing. And it kind of shows you what's happening and the whole like just how everything, the sequence of events.
Yeah.
And that in itself is perfect.
You could just
so
watch
amazing.
the first 8 minutes of the film, and it just grabs you, and it just does not let go. It's just great. I didn't realize this, but the part, the scene that you always think about, where there's a scene where she's doing that, pulls out, and then there's this car that just, you see it in the distance, it's just out of control, it hits another car, it goes into a gas station and explodes.
Yes.
That's one of those like burn into your memory. You just think about it a lot. And but anyway, that is actually an homage. It's a reference to Night of the Living Dead, which is George Romero's original seminal zombie film. Started all the zombie stuff, right?
Yeah.
One of the characters in there, Ben, he mentions he was listening to a radio in a truck in a diner parking lot when a truck crashed into the gas pumps.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Total nerd homage. I love it.
We picked out like, I don't know, 8 homages in the first 10 minutes.
You
Are there any
go
other
through
ones?
a couple more of the homages, or
just like your favorite one?
My favorite one, I like the Here's Johnny. Like,
yes,
The Shining is one of my all-time favorite films. Stanley Kubrick's. Jack Nicholson, he famously, his wife is in the bathroom. He takes an axe and he breaks through it and he shoves his face in and he says, "Here's Johnny." Right?
Yeah.
Anna's character, the nurse, is in the bathroom and her husband, zombified, breaks through his head, and it totally looks like the Here's Johnny. I just love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Which also references the character of Johnny, which is very famously, we quote this all, Johnny in Night of the Living Dead, the 1968 George Romero. Yeah. The brother of the main character, his name is Johnny.
Yeah, and she shouts it a lot.
A lot.
Okay, so how does Zack Snyder like kind of just create the tension and like show you and like walk you through into this new world?
I mean, the breaks he does that you just mentioned is perfect. Like he has, you have, it's just like any other story. You have any other disaster story. There's like subtle hints. You see things in the background like happening. But, it's just like anything else. You're like, oh, whatever. You hear news stories about something weird happening. You're like, oh, whatever. It's a normal day. And then it just launches you in with the shock of the fast zombie. And then the break there totally like lets your brain start to unspool and try and figure out what's going on, which is great because narratively, the main character, Anna, she like was unconscious. That's how it ends. Boom. She gets in an accident. She's unconscious. And then you're in this like, meanwhile, the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and it's just, it feels like you're on a ride along almost like in Cops, that show from like the 90s. I think it's still around. Don't know.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? Yeah. So it feels like you're in a ride along. This movie feels like a ride along. You're kind of like riding along with her. And then when you scoop up more people, it's the same thing. I'm trying to like, to answer your question more directly, like how he does it is, I think he just puts you on guard a lot. Like he uses a lot of angles where you can't see what's going on to the left.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
he's very scoped in his shots, unless he wants to show you the enormity of the foobar you're in, because there's a couple shots like that too, which just leave an impact on you.
But he also like shot wise, it feels a little bit like, I like how you say ride along, or like when you're in like Zelda and you do something and suddenly it opens up more of the map.
Yeah.
So like when she, she's with the cop played by Ving Rhames, amazingly
Kenneth.
played by Ving Rhames.
Kenneth.
I love his character.
He heard this movie was being made,
Yeah.
and he sought out the producers to be in the movie.
I'm so glad he did. Thank you, Ving Rhames.
I know, right?
So she's with him, and then they run into a couple other people, and they're like, "We're going to the mall." They're like, "Well, I guess we could go with them." And then you go up this hill, and then you're up the hill. And just over that ridge is the mall. And it just opens up. The map is like bigger now.
Yeah.
And it's just so subtle and it's so smart. It's just so smart. And how they're on this like little hill and then they go up the hill and there's the mall.
That concept too, like think about when this was made in 2000, it was made in 2003 probably, right? Because it was released in 2004. Like smartphones didn't exist, right?
Yeah,
there were cell phones, so you could use cell phones to call and such, but like there was no like, you were still printing out map quests back then. So
yes, I was
like even that they were, I did too. I still find those randomly amongst random things. It very much feels like that gives you that sense of you are disconnected from knowing what's coming next, knowing where you're going. And that was in that time. Now it would be even more intense. And as an audience now, you kind of like, it's modern enough that you have that feeling, like you bring in your sensibilities as a 2024 audience when you watch this, I think, because it feels close enough. And some of the fashion is definitely feels like it was just that fresh out of the 90s and bleeding into the thousands. But
for sure.
The aughts. But anyway, you definitely feel that very palpably while watching this movie. Yeah.
There's another thing that he does. It's when they're in the mall and they let in another group of people. It's that woman, the truck driver.
Yeah.
And she has a truck full of people. And they're walking in and the camera is above. And it's focused on a wheelbarrow with a woman in it.
Yes, yes.
And she becomes like the focus of the next, like whatever. So it's this really cool, like now we're looking at her.
Yeah.
And the story's going on, but like it was a clue to like pay attention to her. Oh my gosh. And she's terrifying.
Same with the dad too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trash can man.
Yeah. I love that he's in this too.
I do too. Anytime I see Huge the Stand nerd here from Stephen King's TV movie, not
starring Gary Sinise.
Starring Gary
Rob
Sinise
Lowe.
from the 90s, yes.
Yep.
But anytime I see any actor from that, I just always think of that.
Molly Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald, yep.
I had to get those all in.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so what else do you like about this movie?
That's a dangerous question to ask. I really like, I love the character of Andy in the gun shop.
Yes.
And the way that they don't have him talking.
Yeah.
When you hear him talk for the first time, like, I don't think I saw it until I saw like a behind the scenes thing. And it was so weird to hear him talk. It was so weird to see what he actually looked like. Because the definition he was filmed at, when you see him through binoculars, there's not a lot of fidelity around him. And then when you see him, he's like all zombified, so it doesn't really look like him. So actually, it's so weird to have such an emotional connection to a character that you don't really see, you don't really hear, and then they're just gone. It's really strange.
He does that because, so the trick I think he uses to make that happen and to give you that connection is he cracks the jokes on his whiteboard.
Yeah, he's very sarcastic.
He's like, so tell me the bad news. After Ving Rhames tells him that like the nearest help station is out and like they're on their own.
Totally.
It's like, oh, so what's the bad news? And that's like, you just instantly fall in love with him. And you're like, oh yeah, this guy, he's good. He's a good influence. We need him. Yeah.
I also really like how this film plays with like, a lot of times when you think about end of the world scenarios, you think it's going to bring out the worst in people. Right. And the best. And sometimes it's like a lottery to see who's going to get what. Right.
Yeah.
Like there's the character of, like Michael, who's the guy who worked at Best Buy.
Yes.
He's like just everyday average Joe, but he's like rose to the occasion. He's helping everybody, being like a peacemaker type person. Then there's Steve, who's just a jerk and he's got the boat and he's just sleazy,
Yeah.
It's before he chased the lemur. in Muppets Most Wanted. And he was on that sitcom too. And then CJ, who you just totally don't like.
You hate him
He's
in the
a jerk.
beginning. Yeah.
And then you just absolutely love him at the end of the movie.
And you're like, I want him to survive. All of a sudden, he goes from, I don't care, to, he better pull through.
Yes.
Don't kill CJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I love about movies like this, especially this one, is that component. You don't know what you're going to get into. There's a familiar script. You know something's going to happen. And then you just ride along the journey.
One of my favorite parts in with CJ
Mm-hmm.
is when they first meet him.
Yeah.
The crew, like Anna and the police officer and Michael, and then the dude with his pregnant wife.
Yeah.
They're on an elevator.
Yeah.
And then the mall security guards, CJ, the leader.
Yes.
They're like standing outside the elevator and they're talking and they've got their guns trained each other. And like the elevator doors will start to close and then they'll have to like open them up.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's like tense, but it like releases a little bit of the tension.
Yeah.
I love that moment. And then later, like Zack Snyder's like, I'm not done playing with the elevator.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So later they use the elevator to go somewhere and there's music playing.
That's when literally like all the zombies are flooding into the mall and they have just like gone to the elevator to get down to the trucks to get out of there.
It's not, we are leaving now.
Yes, that's the tone.
So they're in the elevator going down and CJ's like, oh, I like this song.
You want to know what?
What?
There was no music being played when that occurred. And he totally ad-libbed that.
Oh my gosh. Genius move. Good job, CJ.
And then, of course, they added the music. I think it's like I'm All Out of Love is the name of the song. I'm all out of love.
I wanted to look it up, so thank you.
I think that's it.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, and back to Andy. One of my favorite other things they do is, and they're on the roof. This is part of the mall heyday time when life is good.
Happy days, yeah.
And they're looking for zombies that look like celebrities and shooting them.
Yeah, that was
and
so
they're doing
good.
target practice.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
Rosie O'Donnell.
That's so hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a fun movie. Like I think the spirit of this movie became Zombieland. Like this movie kind of showed a lot of the funness in a modern sensibility. There's been campy fun zombie movies, a lot of those, but this was like riding the line between fun and horrific, like in the Fast Zombies, of course. But yeah, wow. I did keep track, by the way, because I know you don't normally watch horror movies. Do you want to know how many times you audibly gasped while watching this film?
I want to know. Because I've seen it so many times. And how many times did I gasp?
Twice.
Oh, really?
That's it. I was shocked. I gasped when I saw there was only 2. It was in the first like 30 minutes too. That's when your gasping happened.
Those first 30 minutes are so intense.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're intense.
And then there's the whole zombie baby thing, which we won't talk about. I know you don't like that part. But it's
good.
It's intense.
It's really good.
Yeah. Also groundbreaking. I'm probably wrong, nerds out there if you're listening, but it's the first zombie baby I ever saw in a movie. So
that's another example of like seeing how people turn out, right? That husband, the dad of the baby,
Andre, he
just went crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna keep this baby no matter what.
Yeah, Mekhi Phifer's he's good at characters. I've seen him in a lot of roles like that and he does it really well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice.
So what, if any, messages do you think were in this film, Melissa?
I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Oh.
Okay.
Turning my own energy against me. Okay.
I am. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can a zombie movie have an ending where people survive?
I thought you were going to say, can a zombie movie have a satisfying ending? Because I was going to say the only thing about this movie that I'm not in love with is the end. But it's like zombie movies are so hard to end. They're so hard to end. So can a zombie movie have one where people survive? Yes. Yes, it can.
Have I seen one? I can't think of one.
I've seen a couple.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a comedy one called Fido. And I think I wanted to show it to you. And
I remember you talking about this one. Yeah.
But it's like, I think it's John Cleese, isn't it?
What?
It's either John Cleese or the other British guy who I always confuse with John Cleese. And he's got a crazy name. I don't remember his name. Anyway, No, it is. It's the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But that one is zombies happened and they're just a thing. And they've learned to train them and they put shock collars on them and they live with them. And they're just servants like robots.
Well, yeah. So this ending in this movie, it's very depressing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there could be stuff. It could be okay. They leave it a little vague.
I don't think it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's,
no, it's probably bad.
It's very hopeless.
Yeah, it's pretty hopeless, yeah.
Yeah, like there's this, I don't know. I can't get past that of zombie movies. Like where they do all this work and you struggle, and that you're just against overwhelming odds.
I mean, you're literally like, this is what's so great about zombie movies. You're talking about life. Zombie movies are a metaphor for life. You have constant work to live, thrive, survive, raise your children. All the time, you're constantly working, and then you die in the end. That's a zombie movie. It's a metaphor for life on a larger scale.
Okay, we see life differently.
Okay.
But yeah. So, and messages in this film for me would be, don't end up like, be like CJ, not like the boat owner guy.
Yes.
In stress.
Rise to the occasion.
Yes.
Don't sink.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, but also like, I don't know. I wanted there to be a chance of them surviving.
Yeah.
And
there was. And they chose the wrong path. Much like life.
28 days later.
Yeah.
And then 28 weeks later.
Uh-huh. And then 28 months later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we've never finished the Walking Dead show.
That's true. I'm true confession time.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished the comic and the run ended like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh.
It's like knowing there's never going to be another thing again. I'm like, I got to save that. So I have like 2 volumes left that I haven't read.
Okay.
And I'm just saving them for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh, you're so weird.
This is like Sideways with the wine. I'm
yeah.
like, you just got to eat it with a cheeseburger.
And then we'll you finish that, then we'll finish The Walking Dead, and then we'll finish The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Sounds good.
Because all of those are like too good to finish.
Yeah.
Okay, but so can they have a happy ending? Like, is this a thing that they have to be? So it's just.
Can they have a happy ending?
Yeah.
I mean, I think zombie movies, like I alluded to, right? In this movie, there's chaoticness, but there's also moments of intense joy and happiness. Mm-hmm. And then, you all exit the same way you came in eventually. It's similar to the pandemic, right? Some people were like, life's never going to be the same. No, it's not going to be the same. You're going to learn to live with this thing that exists. That's just kind of how life is. That's kind of how zombies are. And there will be pockets of humanity that survive the zombie apocalypse, Melissa. Pockets. But the world you may have known before would be gone, yeah.
Okay, I want to see a pocket of that humanity and how they survive.
Okay, I guess we're going to have to watch Fido.
Sounds good.
Okay, so if you could be any zombie in this movie, I just need to know this before we leave. What zombie would you be? What would be your shtick?
What would be my shtick?
Yeah.
I'll go with 70s zombie.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. What about you?
I would be zombie with crazy hair. I'd want something crazy with my hair going on.
Yeah.
So then when I got
You'd be
shot,
like the dude zombie, I think.
Oh, that would be good too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. This was a great gift. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Tell us what you think of this film in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.